This episode is sponsored by SatelliteLifeCoaching.com, providers of your personal and professional coaching needs. This podcast is also sponsored by HikaOnline.co.uk, creators of culturally specific education resources that engages your child to succeed.
You're tuned in to another episode of The Coaching Lounge with your host, Rebecca Gordon, lead life coach at SatelliteLifeCoaching.com. Listen to interviews with creative thinkers, motivational speakers, models of success, and key people of influence. Tune in, relax, engage, and transform your life now.
Here's your host, Rebecca Gordon.
In 2007, Lashawanda Becoats experienced a new lease on life inspired by her desire to live free of inhibition and fear. For Lashawnda, letting go of the corporate lifestyle she had grown accustomed to meant embracing who she really was, both literally and figuratively speaking. She knew that the next phase of her life had to revolve around her bold and adventurous attitude. Whether it's the choice to flaunt her naturally grey crown or travelling the world to experience different cultures, her passion for living gave birth to her life's motto, run toward your life. Today, the grey-haired, travelling, stylish mother of 3 adult children and a shorkie named Louis Vuitton is a licensed life coach specialising in relationships. Since the inception of Lashawnda's company, Run Toward Your Life, she has built an audience of dedicated fans who frequent her Instagram account for their fix of love, laughs, and the motivation to live a life as limitless as the skies. My name is Rebecca Gordon, and you're tuned in to another podcast edition of The Coaching Lounge. Now, I do need to declare, if you hear me stuttering and mumbling during the course of this interview, it's only because I am so immensely in awe of my guest, the wonderful Lashawanda Becoats. Now,
Hello.
Hi Lashawnda, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I just can't believe, I've got you here with me in the coaching lounge. And the reason I can't believe it is because you were introduced to me on Instagram by a sister friend of mine who, made me aware of your posts, and she sent me your Run Toward Your Life link and everything. And just looking at your page and the colour, the vibrancy, the messages, the videos, actually, it's just totally amazing. So to have you here with me, I must say thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. And it's an honor to be here with you today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So first of all, you are in the States. Whereabouts are you, Lashawnda?
I'm based in Charlotte, North Carolina, but as I like to tease a lot, I'm based around the world. The world is my playground and my home. So
excellent. So you're an international being.
yes, I am. And I enjoy working with people from different areas. And, the good thing is that technology allows you to be able to do that. So.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Now, I didn't actually mention, because I've got your bio here, I didn't mention your life prior to 2007, because I'd like you to share something of that with us, please.
Well, prior to 2007, I am a journalist. I'm a magazine editor as well, editor-in-chief of a magazine. So prior to that, I was a columnist and used to write columns. Much of what I post on Instagram really about my personal experiences and what I learned and how I grew from those experiences. And people reached out to me and they wanted to talk to me about how I could help them personally. And so I started this life coaching journey. I like to say, by fluke. It is my life's purpose, but um, it was the people asking me about, how I was over to overcome certain challenges that really made me look at myself and then decide that, hey, maybe you can help other people live their best life. So that's how the whole life coaching piece came into play. But yes, I'm a journalist and writer and all of that by profession.
I mean, there are many facets to you, and we're going to discuss one of the current things you're doing a bit later in the interview.
Okay.
So, can I ask then, editor in chief, is that Pride magazine?
Yes, it is. It's Pride Magazine. It's an
Ah,
African American magazine based in Charlotte, North Carolina. And it's not gay pride, it's actually Black pride. And
yeah,
so 25 years ago, when it came about, that's what it stood for.
yes.
So it's a lifestyle magazine with a little bit of business and travel and education. So it's a mix. It's a great mix of things that people want to know about in the community.
Right, okay, because over here in the UK, we do, or
You have a pride.
yeah, we have a Pride, there's Ebony and there's Essence, but I do
Yes.
recall, yeah, Pride was one of the forerunners, wasn't it?
Yes.
Back in the
Yes.
day.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
brilliant. So how long have you been the editor in chief for on that magazine?
I have been the editor in chief for 4.5 years. So
Okay.
next year it will be 5 years that I've been on board, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I like to tell people stories and to
Right.
give voices to the voiceless.
Yes.
And a lot of times, our stories, African Americans, our stories are not being told in a positive light. So this magazine allows that to happen in the community. There's no negative news. There's nothing, degrading. There's nothing political. It's all about people doing positive things to help other people in the community.
Excellent, excellent. That's brilliant, and it's very much needed, I would say. From my Black British experience,
Yes,
there's.
absolutely.
I've noticed actually there's a lot of real great energy with the younger Black females coming up. Who
Yes.
are very confident and proud of who they are. Can I ask a question, which is, what's the general perception, if you can share with us, of African Americans towards African Brits?
I think that because there is so much conflict in the States when it comes to African Americans understanding their own identity here in the States, our history, and digesting our history, that it can be difficult for Americans, Black Americans, to really understand and embrace European culture, Black British culture, or even Black African culture or African culture, I should say.
Yeah.
And so I think people are still in a place of we know we want to accept and understand everyone, but being here in America has come with so much that we're
Mm,
still digesting
yeah.
and trying to get over our own ugly
Mm-hmm.
history because we all stem from Mother Africa. So
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
so that's how I see it, and it's my personal experience. I love everyone actually, but
Yeah.
but I've also learned the history,
Yes.
and you have to know where you came from in order to move forward. And so I
Yeah.
can embrace other people because I understand our history,
Great.
and it's a not for me a defining history of who we have to be in this world.
Absolutely. And one of the things I loved seeing was the president of Ghana, I've forgotten his
Yes,
name, who's actually sent out a call for diasporans to come back home,
yes,
which is
hmm
fantastic. Yeah, brilliant. Okay. So
yes,
your
I
life
agree.
motto, yes, your life motto is run toward your life. What
Yes.
inspired you to create that fantastic motto?
I have to laugh about that because I my earliest remembrance of that actual phrase was on an airplane. And I love to travel. I travel for business and personally, and was on a plane every 10 days for the last 6 or 7 years. And I remember having a moment on the airplane of feeling as if was finally in a place to get it right. And what
Right.
I mean by that is I'm a divorced mother twice. I have three adult children. I've been through a lot of different things in my life, and I didn't always feel like I was getting things right because I wasn't making good decisions.
Right.
And so at that point, when I really felt it, it was like the energy was good. Things were going very well in my life, personally and professionally. I was like, you're running toward your life. You're not living your life in fear anymore. And that's
Right.
where that motto, that's where it came from.
Oh, it's very powerful. Very powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So what I thought when I sent out the invitation for you to come onto the show was that because the meeting point for us was through Instagram, and you're
Hmm.
very active on Instagram, that we could
Yes.
use that as the platform for the way the interview will take place. So,
Awesome.
yeah, I've looked through your page and I've selected some particular statements and quotes and, some of your postings. And the interview will be based around that. Is that fine for you?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
So, in one of your Instagram posts, you wrote, I turned out to be the type of mother I wanted to be. Although I didn't always get it right, I am the perfect fit for them. I am their safe space from birth to death, so they are never afraid to be exactly who they are. So, on reflection, what are you proud of in the type of mother you wanted to be?
I'm proud of the fact that very early on, I knew that I needed to be balanced as a mother. My motherhood journey started when I was 18 years old. I was one of those girls that were, like the fellas, like the guys, and they like me. And
Right.
I ended up getting pregnant at 17 years old, and I gave birth to my oldest daughter at 18. So
Right.
that puts me in high school. I'm in
Right.
my senior year of high school, prom time,
Yeah.
getting ready for college, all of the things that you're excited to do
Hmm.
at that stage in your life. And to go from that point to seeing all three of my children as adults, I have not had problems with my daughters in terms of them getting pregnant out of wedlock,
Hmm.
them just
Yeah.
getting in bad situations. Uh,
Right.
and so I'm proud of that. So when I say that I'm the type of mother I wanted to be, what I knew very early on was that I had to make space for myself as a woman
Hmm.
and then for my children to be themselves. And because I could be myself, I could allow them to be themselves.
That is,
So,
yeah. Sorry, I was just going
oh,
to say
go ahead.
that's a deep statement because we, naturally, we absorb ourselves around our children, and
Yes.
when they get to a stage when they fly off, we're just lost, aren't we? Sometimes.
Yes, and I see that a lot with women. And when that time came for me, my oldest daughter is 29 years old, my middle daughter is 24, and then my son is 22. When that time came for me, I was very clear
Right.
that I had done my job as a mother,
Yeah.
that I had loved them, I had nurtured them, I had given them support, and that they were ready to take on the world, and that it was no longer my responsibility to tell them what to do. My role now is more of a friend.
Mm.
When they come to me and talk to me, when they ask me for advice, that's when I give it. Other than that, I'm just a sounding board in a lot of ways. But when
Mm.
they were younger, I just let them be. One of my daughters had a mohawk, and I didn't care what other parents thought.
Right. Yeah.
Eighth grade.
Yeah.
Well, this particular daughter, she shaved her hair off in eighth grade. She had a
Ah.
long perm and she didn't like it. And she came home and she wanted to shave it bald in eighth
Right.
grade. And I
So,
told her, yes,
yeah.
go do it. I love
Yeah.
it.
So it sounds like you actually help them, you instill confidence in them to be who they are and who they want to
Yes,
be.
because
Yes.
I didn't live through my children. So a
Yes.
lot of mothers, a lot of parents, whatever our trauma was in
Uh-huh.
our childhood, we bring it to how we want to raise our children. And
Mm-hmm.
in that practice of how we love our children. And what
Mm.
I knew for myself was that I wanted them to be individuals. And
Mm-hmm.
what I had experienced had nothing to do with their direct outcome. So what I'm saying is my baggage, what I didn't have, what I didn't experience in my own childhood was not for me to force on them. And I think that from a motherhood standpoint, we look at our children and we put and pour so much guilt because we're taking our baggage
Mhm.
into their childhood. And I never did that with my children.
Right, okay. So, in fact, I think you've answered the next question I was going to pose to you, Lashawanda, which is, I mean, I'll ask it anyway, and you can add anything on if you choose to, if you
Okay.
wish to. Yes, what conscious parenting advice would you give to mothers that will enable them to create positive reflections when they look back at their parenting? And with that question, when I reflect back on my own parenting, it just sort of like happened so quickly.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I've put the word conscious parenting, so that people are intentional,
Yes.
yeah. So,
And I
yeah,
love that. Yeah, I
yeah.
love that. I love the word conscious because the thing with words is that they have power.
Hmm.
And as we are moving through this life, we have to be conscious of how we behave, our intentions, our energy. And so from a conscious parenting perspective with adult children now, one of the things that I taught my children very early on was that everyone gets a turn.
Right.
And as a mother of three children, what that meant was I love my three children unconditionally, but there were times when the oldest one may have needed to get sneakers and things for basketball practice,
Hmm.
and the other two did not. But we may have been in a store or out and about, and the focus was on the older one because that was her need. What
Mm.
I taught my children was everyone gets a turn. Today is not your turn. When
Mm.
you need and have a need for something, it will be your turn. But today it's her turn, or today it's his turn. And I think when I look back, that taught my children how not to be selfish, even though,
Mhm.
everybody's selfish in some way. But
Mm.
from very young people, it just helped them understand that, you know what, I can be okay just going
Mm.
out with mother and doing things because today is Tashara's day. We'll
Yeah,
celebrate her, or today is London's day. So
yeah.
that was a practice, a conscious practice that I put into my parenting, was that everyone gets a turn.
Okay, fantastic. I love that. I love that.
Well,
Okay,
thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
So on another Instagram post, you wrote, I used to worry about the wrong things because I was insecure. So my energy was easily swayed and all over the place. That was 25 years ago, and the journey to now has made me stronger, faster, and smarter. So the question is, how did you overcome worry and anxiety about what others thought about you?
Oh, good gracious. That is such a loaded question, but
Yeah. You can
you
break it down. You
know,
can break it down for us.
yes, I'll break it down real slow for you.
Yeah.
So, a lot of how we turn out to be definitely has to do with childhood. And, the reason I speak of childhood is because I believe that so many adults are just wounded children in adult bodies right now
Mm.
because of unresolved things from their past that they didn't work out. So they're carrying a lot
Mm.
of energy into their adulthood that they never processed from childhood.
Mm.
And so when I look back at that for me, you know, a lot of my insecurity came from, being challenged because I was a darker skin and full lips. And I grew up in New York City.
Okay.
And, New York is a very fashionable, fly place, even, in the
Hmm.
80s. And so much was based on materialism and how you looked and what was going on the outside, more of what than what was going on, or the nurturing that should have been taking place on the inside. And so we mask things that are happening with us internally with things externally. So we buy expensive things, and so very young, I charged up a bunch of credit cards and debt trying to look so fly. And so, put together on the outside, but on the inside, I was broken. I was broken.
Right. Right.
And from that, that had so much to do with the types of relationships that I took on in my life, the choices that I made in men.
Hmm.
I'm not sure of who I am because I'm fronting, putting on things, looking good on the outside, but broken on the inside. So I'm selecting mates who match that. And
Right.
so those were the things that easily swayed me all over the place. This boyfriend said I should do this, I have this. This husband said that. So I started moving the way they wanted me to because I did not know myself. And
Mm.
so looking back, what I'm very sure about is when I dealt with the childhood trauma that started to shape me in my early 20s, that's when a huge shift happened for me. I went into therapy to deal with the trauma.
Can I just ask, because that is what I'm thinking here is that we have to recognize that we do need to really look at ourselves. So
Yes.
you did something happen for you to come to that realization, or what was the catalyst, if you don't
The
mind me asking?
catalyst, yeah, oh, absolutely. The catalyst was I was tired. I was
Mm,
tired of making bad decisions for myself. And I was also very angry. You know, the woman that I am today is very different than the young woman that I was naturally over 20 years ago. I was angry. I had been sexually molested as a child. And I did not know how much of that baggage shaped me into my early 20s. I
mm,
was angry. I would lash out. It was because I was hurting. And
right.
that's what I mean when I talk about being broken.
Yeah, yeah.
And I kept making bad choices, you know, as I said a few minutes ago, in men. And so when I got tired of not seeing my life change, that's when I knew that something was wrong and that I needed help. And that's when I saw therapy.
Right, I see. So we really do need to be honest with ourselves,
Yes,
and be,
we do.
yeah, yeah, and be
We
prepared to,
do.
yeah, because the journey can be scary, it can be, when you think actually to yourself, well, up until this moment, I've been living a lie, in a want of a better way, really. So
Yes.
we've got to be prepared to actually do what's necessary to, with your motto, run toward your life and live the best life,
Yes, and
really.
not live your life in fear. So much of our lives are based in fear.
Mm,
So many of our choices are based in fear. And I believe that when we can address the fear, that's when we can have a shift. But
mhm,
the opposite of love is fear. So when we walking around being loving individuals, but we're living in fear, those two don't go together
no, 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 yeah, so,
because
yeah.
love is not fear.
Relax in the coaching lounge and engage with compelling, motivational speakers. Be prepared to transform your inner world to shape your outer world through empowering discussions.
Choose Satellite Life Coaching and get support to create a perfect system to rapidly shift from thinking about your dream to living it. In your sessions, we will explore the exact mindset, behavior, and actions that make up your success blueprint. You will embrace new perspectives, be excited to work the plan, and vibrate with confidence as you manifest your vision. Are you ready to connect with the best version of you? Getting started is easy. Book your free discovery session at www.satellitelifecoaching.com. Let this be the best empowering action you choose today to change your life.
An Instagram post I saw, and one that I pulled out, is this one. And actually, in a way, it links with what we've been talking about. But you stated, I will always share the experiences that shaped me into being a better human being. My
Hmm.
daily goal is not to live in perfection, but in gratitude and peace. Now, you've already shared, part of your journey.
Hmm.
And I recall you speaking about battle scars in one of your videos.
Hmm.
How does your hair journey fit in with this?
My hair journey was a trip, actually.
Okay.
And you know what I love about my hair now, unlike how I felt about it 7 years ago when I decided to go gray, I was very afraid. I started graying when I was 18 years old, just a few strands here and there. And, beauty standards say you have to dye your hair. So when I would go to the salon, few gray strands, they dyed my hair. So from 18 until 40 years old, I never really knew how much gray hair I had. And so I'd gone over to Europe for a couple of weeks on holiday and had gotten my hair dyed, and it was, fresh, no white. But
Right.
when I returned, I started to see much of the hairline was white. And the middle, if you part apart, it was white.
Right.
And so I got back to my stylist and I said, I don't want to change it. Let's see what happens. It was very short at the time. And she said, no, 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 you have to dye it. You can't wear your hair this way. And I said, no, I
Right.
can. I want to see what's going to happen. So in that moment, I was taking a stand for myself and saying, you know what? Let's see what's going to happen.
Okay.
And so I started and stopped the gray hair process, I think twice.
Right.
And it was when I finally decided that I needed to accept how God made me and that I did not want to fight my genes
Mm-hmm.
because my father prematurely grayed and so did his father.
Okay.
That was when I said, you know what, let's see what's going to happen. And that's also, Rebecca, when another huge shift happened for me in my life. Looking in the mirror and seeing myself for who I was and saying, you know what, I have gray hair.
Right.
And it took 6 or 7 months to grow it all out.
Okay.
And this is what I end up with this platinum, silver,
Well,
grayish crown.
it looks beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And that was what really helped seal the inner side of me because I learned to really accept what I saw in the mirror and understand that it was not going to change. I could dye it, but then I would be back to where I was, fearful of what people would say or think about how my hair would look.
Right. Okay. And the thing is, because I've got some tufts of grey coming up, and I say to myself, grey hair doesn't become me. I've got such a baby face.
I said the same thing.
But the funny thing is, Lashawnda, is that I must admit I do dye my hair, but when I don't dye it and the grey comes up, I just feel old, and
yes,
I
had the same
move
feeling.
old.
Yes,
yeah. But
I
you've
had
got
the same feeling.
but you've got that energy, that vibration. How do you keep that going? That flow of the energy.
Again, it really boils down to accepting yourself for who you are. And beauty comes from the inside and radiates out. And when I made peace with, and there's body imaging issues, there's all sorts of things that we all have. Even I have those same issues. But when it came to this hair piece, that was really the foundation for me accepting who I was. And when you can look in the mirror and say to yourself, I love who I am. I may not be perfect. I may be, and you have to fill in your own blank. That's when the shift comes. And so that's what I tell myself every day. I don't have perfect days at all. I have days of gratitude. Some days I get up out of, the bed and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't face this day. I'm tired. Things are going on. But when I look in the mirror, it starts there for me every day. This is who you are.
It's acceptance, isn't it? Self-acceptance.
It's acceptance.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. When we can learn to accept ourselves, when other people come along and try to pull out our flaws, they have no power over us.
Absolutely.
Because I know that I have this or that because I've accepted it for myself. So if someone comes along and labels me a thing or says I'm this way, it's up to me to receive that energy in that moment. But if I've accepted it for myself, you can't hold it over. You can't hold it over me. My lips are big. I know that, but I accept them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So before we go to an interval, I'm going to ask a question, which is actually from one of our listeners. When I knew you were going to be on, I put the call out for questions, and I've selected one from Jalika.
Okay.
And in a way, it's related to our current part of the discussion. Jalika asks, And by the way, Lashawanda, she's a massive fan of yours.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so touched.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. She asks, as a person who is always seeing and voicing the importance of making people see their worth, their growth and beauty, I sometimes cannot see my own worth, especially as I'm getting older. I am now 60 years young. What advice can you give to replenish me to see my worth and beauty? And that question is from Jalika.
Okay. So, Jamaica, what I will say to you is that one of the fundamental things of maintaining who we are in our womanhood space is knowing what makes us happy, what brings us joy. We have so much that's on us in this whole entire world, so it's easy to feel the ebbs and flows and ups and downs in day-to-day life. But when we can fundamentally go back to, number one, identifying what makes us happy, what makes us feel good about ourselves, and asking ourselves those questions and answering those questions for ourselves, when we have those moments of not feeling great, not feeling secure, not feeling as if we know our place or that we're valued or validated, beauty, work, it doesn't matter. We have to lean on what we understand for ourselves in that what makes us happy. So I have moments like that too, where I'm down and what I do is I read. So that's one of the things that makes me happy. So I'll just say that. So I have my own list of happy things. Reading makes me happy. So when I had a tough day, I know that I need to have quiet time and pick up a book. When I look at my face and it looks, older, and sometimes I get zits and, the things that we experience when it's natural, I know that I need to take a little bit more care of myself, making sure that I'm consistent. Am I drinking water? Am I cleaning my face the way that I should? Am I resting? And so, again, we need to really be aligned with who we are. And when we feel off balance, going back to the core of what brings us happiness. And when we figure that out for ourselves, we can maneuver a little bit better, because that's how we become off balance a lot of times.
Yeah.
Is we're doing too much on this end and we don't make room for the healthy things that we need to do. And I'm big on self-care.
Yeah.
So, Jamaica,
yeah.
ask yourself those questions. Take the time to look at yourself in the mirror. I've told people before, get naked. Women aren't comfortable a lot of times, but get naked in front of that full-length mirror and look at your body. Yes, it's changing. Yes, we may need to lose weight, gain weight. Our skin is different, but we have to look at ourselves naked in the mirror and decide that it's okay. And I'll start over tomorrow.
Yeah.
When we get opportunities to wake up, that's a new start. If you know you haven't been eating properly, start tomorrow.
And looking at yourself in the mirror, even looking at yourself and seeing, a little curve here or curve there, and saying, actually, that's beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That curve helped me to have my children. It helped me to do this,
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have a scar across my stomach, and lots of women have the scar. You've had children. I've had a hysterectomy. We've had things happen. I learned to look at the scars.
Yeah.
Most recently, it was a revelation most recently, and say, I lived a life. That's what that scar represents.
Absolutely.
That's what those stretch marks represent. I've lived a life.
That's right.
And I've come to say, I'm grateful for that. That's the gratitude piece.
Wow.
I'm grateful for that.
I'm just tingling all over, Lashawnda. We need to either A, hear these messages or remind ourselves of these messages, because not many people will do that with us and for us. You know what I mean?
No.
But it sounds simple, but it's so important.
It's so important, and we have to be in tune.
Yes.
When things are off, when we're feeling unbalanced, we have to stop ourselves and say, what is wrong? And it's not, we can't always make it about other people. Because a lot of times when we say what is wrong, we'll blame.
Yeah.
Oh, it's this
True.
person at work. It was this person in traffic. No, let's start with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What role did you play?
Mm. So we're talking about honesty,
Yes.
truth, self-care, appreciation, self-reflection in the journey.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So what we are going to do now is that we are going to take a very quick interval. Lashawnda, when we come back on the other side of that, we're going to talk about love and relationships. And
Yay, my favorite.
yeah, and we're also going to talk to you about your current career and a bit about your coaching. Okay, so please, listener, stay with us. We're going to come back on the other side with a wonderful Lashawanda Becoats, who will engage with us some more about her life and share more words of wisdom.
We'll be back after these short announcements from our sponsors.
Choose Satellite Life Coaching and get support to create a perfect system to rapidly shift from thinking about your dream to living it. In your sessions, we will explore the exact mindset, behaviour and actions that make up your success blueprint. You will embrace new perspectives, be excited to work the plan and vibrate with confidence as you manifest your vision. Are you ready to connect with the best version of you? Getting started is easy. Book your free discovery session at www.satellitelifecoaching.com. Let this be the best empowering action you choose today to change your life.
Some people may want to dull your shine, disregard your achievements, or sabotage your successes, just because they despise the fact that you're so effortlessly awesome at what you do. What they can't take away is the reality that no one can do what you do in the way that you do it. Remembering that truth alone will help you remain confident and focused on what really matters. That is, to do and be your very best without placing limitations on your potential. When you stop giving a damn about what others think, you take ownership of your right to be daring, courageous, and unstoppable.
The random thought.
My name is Rebecca Gordon. I am the life coach at Satellite Life Coaching. I would like women who are listening to this, and especially if you're located in Birmingham, not in the USA at the moment, but maybe one day, but Birmingham in the UK, you can attend my vision board workshop, which is called Revive Your Life. And that workshop is to help you maneuver yourself through 2019 to set yourself the right goals, not just any goal, but the goals that will accelerate you to your best vision of your life. We're going to actually do some work in the workshop, which is not just making a vision board, but it's learning the techniques and strategies for how to manifest your vision and to make it come alive. So I will share on the show page and at the end of this interview how to be in touch with me so that you can book and secure your place. And for the moment, just to say and declare that it's a day of high energy because it's the 11th of November 2018 and the 2018 adds up to 11. And I have with me on this very high energy day, in this high energy interview, the amazing and wonderful Lashawanda Becoats. What's your take on the 11th of November 2018?
It's a powerful time. It's a time to really be reflective of where we are now and letting go of things in our past and also manifesting what we want. Um, Again, when we pay attention to everything around us, you know, and we see these numbers, angel numbers are what they're called in numerology, we have to pay attention to them. And so for me, it's really just a reflective time to pay attention, be present, but also be in tuned enough to know I need to release things from the past and let the new come in and manifest the new.
The cycle of life. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. Not hold on, release, let go, and allow
yes,
room for more things to come in. Okay,
yes.
so we are going to move through the interview with that as the platform, the launching pad, really. So one of your Instagram posts was, and it was a love thought actually, one of your love thoughts. It is that every relationship, romantic, friendship, professional, even family, fits into one of these three categories. When you understand this idea of how relationships change, then clarity can begin. And the question is, as we get older, so I'm giving myself an example, in my 50s now,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
my dad passed away 2014, mother 2008. Some people I went to school with passed away. You see
Mm-hmm.
people of my age, physically looking, probably older than their years.
Mm-hmm.
So as we get older, we experience more grief through bereavement of older
Mm-hmm.
family members and long-time friends. What are
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts on how we can reconcile with connections coming to an end as we, move through the ages of our life?
One of the things, and you're right, when death, you know, happens to us, and it will inevitably happen to people around us that we love and know, you know, it's important to, there's a saying, give people their flowers when they're alive. And it's important to really be sure that we are being present with the people that we say that we love. And in that space of being present, it is checking on our friends and family members, spending quality time with our friends and family members, and not taking moments that are precious for granted. And we do that a lot. We say, "Oh, we'll do it. We'll call her next week. Oh, we'll go see Uncle so and so, tomorrow, or we'll see them whenever." We have to be present in really making sure that we're taking the time to make the connections with people while they're here. Because what I have seen so much is that because people don't do it in life, when someone passes in death, there is a guilt that is associated with that person no longer being there because perhaps the individual did not take the time to really spend the moments and connect while the person was living.
Yeah, there can be so many regrets, can't there?
Yeah,
So
and
many
there's so many
regrets.
layers to that, and it's different for each person. But what I know for sure is that when a person is gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
But when we can celebrate them in their space, meaning spend time with them, connect with them while they're living, that's when we get the real essence of that person. I lost my grandmother years ago in 2001, and she's still with me.
Yeah.
There's moments that I have where I can feel her presence. I think of her on a recipe that may make of hers. But when she was alive, I was the granddaughter who spent as much quality time with her as I could
I
because I
see.
understood that time was precious. And when a person is gone, they're gone.
Thank you for sharing that. I know somebody, welcomes hearing that message today.
You're very welcome.
Okay, so the next question based on relationships is, it can take a long time to get clarity on romantic relationships as we get older. And that can
Hmm.
partly be because of the baggage, that we may still be carrying, or insecurity, for example. So what tips can you offer on how to cultivate a healthy love relationship as we get older, or when starting to date again?
Ooh. Well, love is as complicated as we make it, but simply love is supposed to be a freeing thing. It's supposed to be a space where we're allowed to be exactly who we are and our mate be exactly who they are. And as we get older, I think it's important to look at your patterns of behavior. If you've behaved a certain way and done a certain thing over and over again in a relationship, you can't keep bringing that baggage into a new relationship. And much of the work that we have to do with ourselves and understanding self acceptance and all that, when we're dating, we still have to do the same things. We have to address and deal with our own stuff. Um, I'll give you an example. I was in a relationship where my ex had issues with his childhood, the way that his father parenting things from his childhood. He brought that into the relationship. Very aggressive, very narcissistic, he never dealt with it. And so until you can deal with some of your own stuff, you can't go into something trying to love other people. You got to love yourself first. I guess that's basically what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
have to love yourself first and be honest with yourself. You have to know what you want,
Yeah.
because a lot of people don't even know what they want. They're basing their love, attraction, or need on something that doesn't exist, this fairy tale perception of what relationships are supposed to be like. So we have to let go of that as well and be realistic about
Yeah.
realistic. And in love, there's no room for these expectations. He has to do this in order for me to do that. She has to be this in order for me to do that. That's not love. That's control.
I think
And
it's
so,
sorry,
go ahead.
yeah, especially as we are older,
Yes, we get stuck in our ways. We
Yeah,
get
yeah,
stuck in our ways.
yeah.
And how can you receive someone into your life, into your space, if you're not willing to open yourself up, open your mind, your heart to the possibilities? And one of the things that I think is very key in love is that because someone is different from you, that does not make it bad. So what I see a lot of times is because someone does something completely different than us, we judge, we label, and because we don't do it that way, we make that then become a fault.
Can I just say something that might be slightly controversial?
Okay, go
In the
ahead.
personal development world, I think it might be true to say that women tend to do more work on themselves than men, because men probably don't talk, about their emotions, their
Yes,
feelings, etc. So
yes.
I'm just wondering if there's not going to be a disparity between the development in the sexes at a certain age, certain level, or in a time of life. So would you say that men need to hear this message probably a lot more than women? What's your take?
I think both men and women, because we have to come to a point of being able to understand each other.
Yeah.
Men, to your point, they are nurtured differently or not nurtured differently in their life. They're not taught how to express their feelings. um they need to be the strong one. They can't show emotion. A lot of men are based, that's how they grew up, and that's their definition, or what they've been given or have seen as the definition of manhood. It takes a really special pair of people to really be vulnerable with who they are enough to open themselves up and love someone else.
Vulnerability. Yeah.
Vulnerability, because if you think about it, every time you meet someone and you connect with them, you have to be vulnerable to a point to even meet or connect with them. Now, how far that relationship will go will really depend on how much work you're willing to do to make the relationship last and to work out. But if you have one person that steps into the arena ready, that has done work, and you have another person who has baggage and bitter and haven't resolved issues, it can't work. It can't work because that one person who has has is going to oftentimes try to change that other person. And you can't, in love, change anyone. We have to realize that when we come together in love relationships, we need to accept each other as we are. It's not up to us to change our mates, nor is it up to us to make our mates happy. People are responsible for their own happiness, and they're also responsible for their own development and self-care. If a person wants to change, they will. But if you meet someone and the person is overweight and you work out, for example, and you want them to work out, so you nag them. You need to work out, you need to be more healthier, and they don't want to work out. Guess what happens? They start to resent because that's not what they've accepted for their lives that they want to do. And in a shift, they resent the mate who wants them to be healthier, work out, and it just becomes a mess because you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. So can I ask, what sort of people come to you for coaching, Lashawnda?
Well, not everyone.
Is it both male, females, or?
It's male and female, but primarily women who are transitioning from, sometimes it's being a mother full time and wanting to go into a workspace, women who are feeling undervalued, and they once were a particular way, they were running toward their life, and they've had life shifts, whether it's raising children, divorce. So a lot of women that are in transition, they know that who they want to become, she's in there.
Right. Okay.
But they need help figuring out how to bring her back out and get her on the path to running forward. But I work with men and women, but it is primarily women.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So at this stage in the Coaching Lounge podcast, we are ready to go through the quick fire questions. Are you ready, Lashawnda?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I'm ready. Let me take a deep breath. I got you. I'm ready.
Right. Okay. So, what book has inspired you and what book are you reading at the moment?
The book that has inspired me is Marianne Williamson's book, A Return to Love. A Return to Love, and actually A Woman's Worth. So both Marianne Williamson books.
Okay. And what's a profound message that you've got from either one of those books?
It's really, again, about that womanhood journey and accepting and being honest with who you are and knowing what you want, but doing the work to be able to manifest it. And A Return to Love deals with a lot of A Course in Miracles, which is a bigger study about learning the shifts in how love works in this entire world and how we step into that space. Right. So those will be the two books by the same author that definitely are inspiring me right now.
Superb. Which famous person would you love to have dinner with, dead or alive?
Oh, the famous person, dead or alive. I would have to say alive, it would probably be Oprah Winfrey.
Oh, yeah, my favorite as well. What would you ask her?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know if I would ask a lot of questions. It would be more about experiencing her energy.
Yeah.
And allowing her to talk and just share her experiences. I think we miss a lot when we're always asking and we don't sit and we're not still and just take in the moment and being present. So I think in that space, I would eat and talk a little, but I would be more interested in hearing her share and, just share her energy.
Yeah. Well, hey, let me know when you're going to meet her, because I think that's coming up one day.
Well, you know what? From your lips to God's ears.
Yes.
God's ears. So we're gonna claim that. I thank you so much for that.
Okay.
I thank you so much for that.
Okay. So, Lashawnda, are you a hammer or a nail?
I am a nail.
Okay. Tell me more.
I'm a nail because I hold things together. Uh,
Ah,
hammer is responsible for getting the nail into the wood, but I'm the one that holds things together.
great.
Um,
Yeah.
doesn't matter what comes around, I'm going to hold that piece of wood, plywood to the wall or whatever
Yeah.
it is. Yep.
Great. Okay. And what's your word of the moment?
Surrender.
Surrender. Okay. What does that mean for you? Tell me about that in the context of your life.
Surrender for me right now means being still and letting whatever needs to happen in my life happen, and
Mhm.
being open to it and also being prepared for it. One of the things about the word surrender is a lot of people think of it in a negative way.
Mhm.
Surrender does not mean to give up, it means to let go and yield the possibilities.
Right.
And so surrender is very key for me, and just being present in all areas of my life and just letting go
Mhm.
and believing that whatever's going to happen will
Mhm.
work out as it should.
Excellent. Okay. So, before we wrap up the interview, there is only one, well, not only one other, but there is one other thing to ask you, which is about being, let me just check, you were scouted out of New
Yes.
York. Tell me about that.
This gray hair that
Ah,
I was so afraid of, that I, had these feelings about, has been a blessing in disguise somewhat. And I say that because for me to be able to wear my hair as it is naturally, and hopefully inspire other women to do the same and see their beauty and much of what we've already talked about,
yes.
it has been exciting that now this over 40 modeling thing and gray hair is something that is a positive thing in our society. And so I was scouted out of New York for a commercial for Carol's daughter.
So hold on,
Um,
I just need to break this down a little bit. Were you out shopping, going about your business, and someone saw you?
no, they actually reached out to me from watching my Instagram posts.
Oh, wow.
Yes, they
Wow.
had I guess scouted via Instagram and saw images of me, and just
Oh,
reached out, and
wow.
that's how that project came about.
Okay, so you do modeling then?
I am stepping into the over 40 modeling world. I need
Over
to stop eating
40.
ice cream and potato chips, which I love. I love, Chris.
Ah.
I love them so much. Yes,
Yeah.
I need to give those things up. But
Yeah.
yes, I'm stepping into that space because
Okay.
women, you know, when we take good care of ourselves and we, just live authentically in the world,
Yeah.
it's something that's desirable, I think, from the marketing standpoint. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
I'm going to embrace it and see what happens.
Yeah. Superb. Okay. So, the listener who I selected the question from, Jalika, she asks. She says the statement is she wants to let you know that you have followers here in the UK and you are
Oh,
truly an inspiration, Lashawanda. And
oh.
she asks, when is your visit to the UK?
You know, I think I'm going to come over sometime in the early summer of next year.
Well, we're going
It's
to
been
meet up,
about,
aren't we?
yes, we
Yeah,
are. It's
yeah,
been a couple of years, about 3 years since I've been to London. And
yeah,
so, what I would love to do is come over and just have conversations with some of the beautiful women that
yeah.
I've connected with
Well, I tell you
via the
what,
Instagram
yeah,
space.
yeah, we will host something and we can get you an audience. There won't be a problem with that.
Okay, well, we can
Yeah,
make it happen. But 2019 is when I plan to spend a little bit more time
yes.
abroad. Um,
Okay, yeah.
London, in England, I should say,
Yes,
is a
yes.
beautiful place. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah,
I
it's
love it.
yeah, brilliant. And Birmingham, it's buzzing. Birmingham, UK. It's we've got a lot to show you here.
Well, I can't wait to get to Birmingham in particular because I have not been to Birmingham, so I
Right.
can't wait to do that. Thank you.
Fabulous. Okay. So, I'd like you, please, to share your contact details with the audience.
Okay.
Thank you. How can they be in touch with you?
You can find me on Instagram at run, RUN toward, TOWARD, your life, YOURLIFE. That's my Instagram page. I am on Facebook as well, and it's Run Toward Your Life with Lashawanda Becoats. And my website is www.runtowardyourlife.com. No S.
Right, fantastic. So please, if you have loved the energy from this interview with Lashawanda Becoats, please do reach out, be in touch. And what final words? In fact, let me just ask you the question in this way. In Charlotte 5, you're quoted as saying, "As I got to know myself and I learned my strengths and my value as a woman and as a human being, it became very evident to me, especially through work and having a public platform to work from, that when people look at you, what message do you want to embark?" So you've told us, a bit about your message. I just want to ask you, what's your final message to share with women who are struggling to run toward their life right now?
My message would be really the self-love and how you love and speak to yourself is key. It's important to learn that you must validate yourself. In that validation space, it means accepting and also you learning how to take care of yourself from the inside out. When we can learn to validate ourselves as women, we become more powerful, because what we understand from that space is that compliments, what other people think about us, what other people see about us, their perception is just that, a perception, because we've learned to look at ourselves, love ourselves, and accept who we are in womanhood. So validate yourself first. And that way you won't have to seek it from anyone else. It just becomes a compliment to what you already know. That's what I teach from, because
Right.
women don't feel validated.
Yeah.
And we're looking for everyone else to tell us that we have self-worth.
Yeah.
But no one gets to determine your self-worth. You
No.
determine that.
Yeah.
But because our jobs say we're only worth this much money, our mates say that we're this, our children make us feel that, our friendships, we don't know how to do that.
Nothing more to add to that. That's something for us all to reflect on, Lashawnda, and
Yes.
A really important message there. So the hour has gone tremendously quickly, and I've enjoyed every moment of it with you in the coaching
Me
lounge.
as well.
Yeah.
Yes, me as well. Thank you so much.
It's a blessing, and the thing about it, it's a ripple effect. So this will go out there, and who needs to hear it will. A lot of people will be touched by this. So just thank you for being you and for, having the energy.
Oh, well, thank you for having me on your show. You are amazing, and your energy is amazing, and we're grateful for you. We're grateful for the work that you're doing, and sharing yourself with other people is an amazing process. And so thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I look forward to continuing our womanhood journey together and inspiring each other to greatness.
Thank you for tuning into the Coaching Lounge. Join us next time for more insightful interviews with inspiring guests. You can hear previous shows on SoundCloud by searching for Satellite Life Coaching. We're always interested to hear your feedback and topic suggestions, so don't hesitate to email us on info@satellitelifecoaching.com.